Welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tommy. And I'm Gus. With a
Alright.
slightly delayed reaction.
Slightly delayed reaction. And today, if you look down below the screen here, we're playing Wingspan. Wingspan is a game for 1 to 5 players, and it's all about birds and their habitats and what they eat, right? So the way the game works is you get a hand of cards to start, and then you discard some of them and keep some food. But it's about collecting resources, and the resources are food that the birds eat. And each of the birds can go into, can you show that up there, please?
A different habitat.
It goes into a different habitat. You mostly can see that. Different habitat and each different kind of food. So in order to play that bird, it needs to go into the forest habitat, and it needs to eat a insect and a fruit, right? Or a berry.
A berry and a bug.
A berry and a bug. So, and then the birds have interesting bird facts on them, and they can hold a certain number of eggs, and they're worth a certain number of victory points. But the way the game is played is you play bird cards into your habitats here, and you've got your gain food / forest habitat at the top. You've got your lay eggs / prairie habitat in the middle, which has sort of got that wheat symbol on it. And then you got your water habitat, which is where you'd also draw bird cards. So each of the habitats also represent an action that you can take on your turn. And your turn goes, you take one action. And that action can be play a bird from your hand. So you have to have the right number of food and the right kind of space on the habitat board, right?
Which isn't in any of the 3 lanes.
But playing the bird is at the top. Gain food, which you take food. You start off with some food, but I'll let you guys watch a video on how to play it, or try to watch our video when we started playing it to see if you can puzzle it out. But you start off with a little bit of food, and then you can get food from it. So you can say gain food by placing your turn token in the top row, and then you take the number of dice, which you can probably see here. See, there's 3 dice here, there's 2 dice here, there's 2 dice here, and there's some other things there. So the further right you have on the habitat track, the more dice or eggs or cards you can take, lay or draw. Right. So you take food, and you take food from this bird feeder, and the dice are the same symbols as, I don't know if we can see this, as the food tokens. So these are 2 fish. Right. So you can take food, and then that lets you do something, and then you pass the turn on to the next player, and they can take food or play a bird or draw bird cards or lay eggs, and you keep doing it. You cycle around. It's played in 4 rounds. The first round is 8 turns. Right, so we each go 8 times, and you use these little turn cubes to keep track of things. Where they start off in a pile next to it, and then when you decide to take an action, you say, "I'm going to gain food." Put it on the gain food thing, right? And then that keeps track of the fact that Gus has spent a turn, right? And then on round 2, you have 1 less turn because you're going to use one of your cubes on this scoring track over here, and it's got different objectives, right? So some of them are have a bird in the forest. Some of them are have eggs on birds in the water, that sort of thing. And then you keep going around and around until you complete the round. Then you complete the next round, and it goes 4 rounds, right? And at the end of the game, you count up the victory point values on the birds, the number of eggs you have laid on birds across your habitats, the number of food that you might have banked to a thing, which is a thing you can do. What was the other thing? The end of round goals. So we each started off with a special secret goal. So my secret goal was, we're going to have to do something about that bright light because the sun's shining just from the wrong place. So I have to have birds with colors in their names. And if I had 4 to 5 birds, I got an extra 3 victory points. And then some birds can basically eat other birds. And now you signify that by tucking a card behind them. So you get victory points for all of that. And you add up the victory points, and whoever's got the most victory points at the end of round 4 wins. So
Dad won. I got second. Gus lost.
Yeah, I won.
Although he had a butt ton of eggs.
He had a lot of eggs. So it's a little more complicated than some of the games we played, right, Gus? Mm-hmm. What was a rule that we needed to remember? Anybody remember what we screwed up really early on?
Lose and forgot.
Alright, sorry about that. I had to put a
So yeah,
thing up. We're on rules that we forgot. Activation. Yeah, so we're on rules we forgot. So the first rule we forgot was we weren't paying attention to what activation meant. So when you put when you decide to take an action, say Gus has got this take food action here, and he's got 2 birds here. So he puts his little token here, say I'm going to take food. He takes food from the tray. And then he activates each of the cards that are in his row, and each bird has an activation on it. Now put it up there so it'll see. Right about there, that's good. Anyway, when activated, it says what? It says to gain 1 food of any type from the bird feeder. So that was a rule we forgot. The other rule that we forgot, and that might have given Gus a couple extra points, is some of them when activated say take a card from your hand and put it under the card. And the first 2 times we took cards from the deck instead of from the hand. So we did a couple of things. But I don't think that had much of an impact on the scoring at the end of the game. I didn't have any tucked birds.
well, either way, I would have lost.
Yeah, either way you would have lost. Mostly because you were just laying eggs. Right?
Even though I just normally would have gotten a lot of points.
Yeah, they got you enough points. That's why you didn't lose completely. So you came in 3rd, but only 4 points behind Tommy. So paying attention to what it says in the cards. There's an appendix rulebook that tells you exactly what the bird powers do. Each of the birds have their own habitat. They have their own nest. They have their own number of eggs that they can hold.
They have a number of victory points.
The number of victory points,
And they have a
nest type,
fact underneath them.
and they've got all these little bird facts underneath them. So it's a pretty cool game. I liked it. It's a little more complicated, like I said, than some of the games we played. So what about you? Anything what did you like about it, Tommy?
The art is really cool.
The art's really cool.
Can connect some of their activations connect with their facts.
Oh, their activations connect with their facts. So the people that made this game put a lot of thought into the things that the birds do on the cards. Make a lot of sense for what kind of bird. How about you, Gus? What was your favorite part?
Color.
Hmm?
Yellow.
The art? What didn't you like?
The fact that the eggs look like candy and make me want to eat candy.
They are not candy. How about you? Something you didn't like?
The fact that the eggs look the same as Gus.
Same as Gus. It looks like candy. Yeah, the eggs look like peanut M&Ms, which I think we're all out of, so we can't show them any peanut M&Ms as a comparison, right? There's not much I didn't like about this. I think it's a little complicated. Once you get used to it, so I think the more we play, the easier it'll be. I really liked the fact that the turns counted down. So your very first round you had 8 turns, and your next round you had 7 turns. The next round you had 6, and then your last round you only had 5. So it kept counting down. So you're trying to build this sort of habitat with all these cool birds. 4, yeah. You're trying to build this habitat full of all these cool birds with all this cool stuff on it, but you're trying to rush towards the end. So that was the thing I liked about it. It naturally sort of worked its way down, but that did make it a little more complicated.
I also like the fact that when you eat a different bird, you just kind of absorb them.
When you eat a bird, you put it underneath your other bird, yeah. Which I guess leads us to, what did we think? If you're going to give it a score, how many cabbages are you going to get? 2? You're going to give it 2? You're going to give it 2? I'm going to give it a solid 2. I enjoyed it.
2. Very solid game.
Very solid game.
6
Better or worse than the Darwin game we played the other day?
Like the tiniest bit more. I kind of like the Darwin game a little bit.
You like the Darwin game a little more? How about you?
They both have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. Well,
There's a lot of birds in both games.
there are a lot of birds. Darwin was big on finches. Wingspan is big on just birds of all over the world. That's the beautiful thing about this, is like you can see where the birds that you're looking at are from.
But in this game, you're more on the being the bird instead of watching the bird.
You're kind of collecting the birds, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So this is a good game, but I don't like it as much as say Downforce. I really like Downforce. So
This one is one of the best games.
there you go. So there you go. So it can be better or worse. But in the nature game thing, and we're gonna play one more nature game. After this, it's called Parks. That's right. To sort of round out the top three. But I liked it, so I'm going to give it 2 as well. So it's 6 cabbages, and I think that's it. You want to do the outro or anything else to add? No, nothing else to add. All right. So who's going to do the outro?
Subscribe, like, hit that.
Camera's over there.
Leave a comment if you wish. Eat plenty of cabbages, not us though.
Ah. Well, that's it. That's Wingspan. I had a lot of fun, and I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot.
Okay, goodbye.